Welcome back to another episode of Later Bit, the podcast where we talk about issues affecting us and explore the world's most misunderstood things. Today, we are diving deep into one generation that's often getting a really bad rap, Gen Z. Yep, you heard me right. Those TikTok addicted, avocado toast munching, screen staring, cancel culture warriors. They're the ones being blamed for everything from ruining the economy to single-handedly ending good taste in fashion. But you know what? There are way more to them than meet the eye. So let's unpack it, shall we? Alright, here we go. Who exactly are the folks who make up Gen Z? Well, according to the numbers, they are the ones born between 1997 and 2012. So basically, if you're older than 12 but younger than like 26, you're in the club. These are the digital natives, the ones who don't remember life without Wi-Fi. And boy, do we have some things to say about them. But before we start hurtling all the hot takes about how lazy, entitled, and arrogant they are, let's actually take a moment to talk about the misunderstandings. I mean, the way the Gen Z is talked about, you think they were born with a Netflix subscription, a TikTok account, and a side hustle to sell them on their self-improvement journey. The audacity. Seriously though, Gen Z is often called lazy, entitled, and even arrogant. Let's run through these accusations one by one, shall we? Starting with lazy. Lazy? Okay, sure. Because binge watching entire season of Stranger Things is clearly the same as being unmotivated, right? I mean, sure, they may not want to work 90-hour weeks at an office that smells like stale coffee and promises of a promotion that will never come. But guys, let's be real. Maybe they're onto something. Gen Z isn't out there trying to give up their mental health for a gold-plated badge of I spent 12 hours in a fluorescent lit cubicle and I'm still waiting for a coffee break. And hey, the old school, work hard, sacrifice everything and hope for the best approach? That's so last century. They're like, nah, thanks, we'll take a different path. One where mental health is prioritized and we don't have to kill ourselves just to survive. And yet, they get labeled lazy. Speaking of which, did you know that 70% of Gen Z actively seeks work-life balance and are not afraid to say no to jobs that don't offer it? Gen Z is out here rejecting hustle culture like it's a bad date on Tinder. It's not laziness, it's actually smart. It's called setting boundaries. Ever heard of it? Actually, this reminds me of something. It is something to do with this lazy equals unemployment. When I was interning at a certain local media house, I was astonished to see that those voices and faces of those boomers that I've been seeing and hearing on the screens and radios ever since I was in diapers are the same ones, majorly, that I was to work with and sharing the same resources. Mind you, I'm a mere full-time non-paid intern, and I have to brush shoulders for opportunities with, no offense, grandpas. Worse still, I'm in my years when I'm more productive, more energetic, and I have to work for free only because I'm learning. And after that, you do not even give me a job opportunity. Well, I will dedicate a whole episode topic because it's so vast to talk about this whole thing. Now, let's talk about the classic arrogant and entitled accusations. Ah yes, because believing in your worth and demanding respect is definitely arrogance, right? I mean, just because they refuse to work for peanuts and tolerate toxic environments, now they're entitled. The audacity. But wait, let's pause for a second and consider this. Who exactly are they being arrogant to? You mean the folks who can seem to put down their fax machines or remember how to turn on their Wi-Fi? Because trust me, If we had $1 for every time someone in a business meeting said, "But we've always done it this way," we'd all be living on private islands by now. So no, Gen Z doesn't want to repeat the mistakes of previous generations. They don't want to mindlessly buy into the lie that they should be grateful just to have a job. They want to work on their terms for a fair wage with a purpose, and that's somehow considered entitled. Look, they may not be playing by the same rules, but honestly, who wants to play by outdated, broken rules? Especially when those rules have been failing us for a decade. And then we get to the workplace where Gen Z is apparently supposed to just take it. Take the long hours, the micromanaging, the lack of growth opportunities, the idea that they should just be thankful to have any job at all. You ever see the look on a Jay-Z when their boss tells them, "That's just the way things are around here"? It's like watching a kitten try to comprehend quantum physics. So what do? They leave. Because why stick around a job that doesn't value your time, creativity, or well-being? This generation is out here redefining the work game. They are pushing for remote jobs, flexible hours, and dare I say it, mental health days. Things that were literally unheard of just 10 years ago. But that's not all. Schools. Don't even get me started on this one. Gen Z students are told they are lazy for not following the old model or rote memorization and standardized testing. Like, okay, sure. Tell me again how that's supposed to prepare them for a world that's constantly changing. But Gen Z isn't just going along with it. They are challenging outdated education systems, fighting for the mental health awareness in schools, and raising awareness about the lack of real-world skills being taught. In fact, it's these lazy, entitled students that are pushing for the future of education. Go figure. Now, let's take a quick detour to politics. Why? Because if there's one thing Gen Z has proven, it's that they can mobilize anywhere. In recent protests against the Kenya Kwanza administration, Gen Z was leading the charge, of the political unrest that erupted after the controversial elections, right? Well, it wasn't just the older generation throwing hands in the street. It was the youth, Gen Z, who were organizing, raising awareness, and calling out the corruption and the government's mishandling of public funds. In fact, these Gen Z protesters used social media like a weapon. They posted videos, shared news, and brought attention to issues faster than any mainstream media outlet could keep up. Talk about impact. And the best part, they weren't just posting ends whatever hashtag memes. They were demanding real change. They were showing the older generation that accountability looks like in the digital age. Gen Z doesn't just stand on the sidelines. They roll up their sleeves, grab their phones, and get to work. Talk about a flex. But it's not just in Kenya. Let's take a look at how Gen Z is impacting the world at large. In every corner of the globe, Gen Z is using their voices to push for climate action, better labor laws, and social justice. This generation understands that the world they inherit depends on how they shape it now. They don't have time for half-hearted reforms. They want real change, and they are fighting for it. And trust me, if you haven't heard about their movements, you will. So before you throw the lazy, entitled, arrogant labels on Gen Z, take a moment to think about who's really challenging the status quo, who's standing up the government's corruption, and who's reshaping the future of work, education, and the planet. Spoiler alert, it's Gen Z. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go post this podcast on Instagram, write a viral tweet, and maybe take a nap. because you know balance. Thanks for listening, and if you enjoyed today's episode, share it, tag it, tweet it, do whatever. Until next time, this has been Letter Bit with Dr. Haro Chilumo.